The National Electrical Safety Code (NESC) outlines the minimum vertical clearance requirements for overhead power lines in accessible areas. For lines carrying over 600 volts, including 7,200 volts alternating current, the minimum height is 20 feet above the ground. If a 7,200 volts line appears to be lower than 20 feet, it presents a potential safety hazard, especially for children or anyone using conductive objects near the line. It is important to note that local regulations or specific utility practices may impose even stricter height requirements. To confirm the exact requirements in your area, it is advisable to contact your local utility company directly. If you observe a power line that seems too low, firstly, report your concerns to the local utility company. Ask them to inspect the line and take necessary action to raise it to the required height. Secondly, document all communication with the utility company, including dates, times, and the names of individuals spoken to. This record can be valuable if further action is needed. Thirdly, if the utility company does not respond or address the issue adequately, consider hiring an electrical engineer or a qualified professional. They can assess the safety of the line and recommend appropriate solutions. While awaiting action from the utility company, take proactive safety measures. Firstly, warn children about the dangers of overhead power lines and instruct them to stay away from them. Secondly, remove any vegetation that could potentially provide a path for electricity to reach the ground. Thirdly, when working near overhead lines, use non-conductive materials such as plastic or fiberglass to minimize the risk of electrical contact. Remember that electricity can jump or arc from a power line to a nearby object, so maintaining a safe distance is crucial. Always assume that power lines are energized and dangerous. Never touch or approach a downed power line. Report downed lines to the utility company immediately. If you are unsure about the proper clearance requirements or safety procedures, consult a qualified electrical professional. They can provide guidance and ensure that the electrical system is safe and compliant with applicable codes and regulations. Regarding electrical safety in general, there are some basic principles that one should adhere to. Firstly, always assume that all electrical wires and equipment are energized. Secondly, never touch or tamper with electrical equipment unless you are a qualified and authorized electrician. Thirdly, use caution when working near water or in damp environments, as water can conduct electricity. Fourthly, regularly inspect electrical cords and equipment for damage, and replace them if necessary. Fifthly, use ground fault circuit interrupters, GFCIs, in areas where electrical equipment may come into contact with water, such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas. Sixthly, avoid overloading electrical circuits, as this can cause overheating and potentially lead to a fire. Seventhly, never remove or bypass safety devices such as fuses and circuit breakers. Eighthly, if you experience any electrical shocks or unusual electrical activity, immediately turn off the power at the breaker and consult a qualified electrician. Ninthly, teach children about electrical safety and keep electrical cords and equipment out of their reach. Tenthly, in the event of an electrical fire, use a fire extinguisher that is specifically designed for electrical fires. In addition to these general safety precautions, it's also important to be aware of the specific hazards associated with overhead power lines. Firstly, never fly kites, drones, or other objects near power lines. Secondly, be careful when using ladders or other tall equipment near power lines. Thirdly, be aware of the location of power lines when trimming trees or shrubs. Fourthly, if you see a tree limb or other object that is touching a power line, do not touch it. Report it to the utility company immediately. Fifthly, if you are involved in a vehicle accident that involves a power line, stay inside the vehicle and wait for emergency personnel to arrive. Only exit the vehicle if it is on fire or if there is an immediate danger. In this case, jump clear of the vehicle, making sure not to touch the vehicle and the ground at the same time. Shuffle away from the vehicle with your feet together to avoid creating a path for electricity to flow through your body. Regarding the NESC, it is a comprehensive set of standards that covers the design, construction, operation, and maintenance of electrical power and communication systems. It is updated regularly to reflect changes in technology and best practices. The NESC is widely adopted by utilities and other organizations in the United States and other countries. It provides a framework for ensuring the safety and reliability of electrical systems. Some of the key areas covered by the NESC include clearance requirements, grounding requirements, and equipment specifications. The NESC also includes requirements for worker safety such as personal protective equipment, PPE, and training. Compliance with the NESC is essential for ensuring the safety of workers, the public, and the environment. Regarding the specific requirements for overhead power lines, the NESC specifies minimum clearance distances between the lines and the ground, buildings, and other objects. These clearance distances are designed to prevent accidental contact with the lines and to ensure that there is adequate space for maintenance and repairs. The NESC also specifies requirements for the strength and construction of power line poles and conductors. These requirements are designed to ensure that the lines can withstand the weight of ice and snow, as well as wind and other environmental factors. The NESC also includes requirements for grounding power lines to protect against electrical shock and to prevent damage to equipment. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, which causes the circuit breaker to trip and energize the circuit. In addition to the NESC, there may be other applicable codes and regulations, such as local building codes and utility company requirements. It is important to be aware of all applicable requirements and to ensure that electrical systems are designed, installed, and maintained in accordance with these requirements. Regarding vegetation management near power lines, it's important to maintain adequate clearance to prevent trees and shrubs from contacting the line. This can be achieved through regular trimming and pruning. The utility company is typically responsible for maintaining vegetation clearance around high-voltage power lines. However, property owners may be responsible for maintaining vegetation clearance around low-voltage service drops. When trimming trees or shrubs near power lines, it is important to use caution and to avoid contacting the lines. If you are unsure about how to safely trim vegetation near power lines, contact the utility company for assistance. Regarding electrical safety in the home, there are several steps that you can take to reduce the risk of electrical shock and fire. Firstly, have your home's electrical system inspected by a qualified electrician to ensure that it is up to code and in good condition. Secondly, replace any damaged or frayed electrical cords. Thirdly, avoid overloading electrical circuits. Fourthly, use surge protectors to protect electronic equipment from power surges. Fifthly, install ground fault circuit interrupters, GFCIs, in bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas. Sixthly, test GFCIs regularly to ensure that they are working properly. Seventhly, keep electrical appliances away from water. Eighthly, teach children about electrical safety. Ninthly, have a fire extinguisher that is specifically designed for electrical fires on hand. Tenthly, in the event of an electrical fire, evacuate the building immediately and call 911. Regarding working with electricity, it is important to have the necessary knowledge, skills, and training to perform the work safely. Only qualified and authorized electricians should perform electrical work. If you are not a qualified electrician, do not attempt to perform electrical work. Instead, contact a qualified electrician to perform the work for you. When working with electricity, it is important to use the proper tools and equipment. Use insulated tools to protect yourself from electrical shock. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, PPE, such as rubber gloves and safety glasses. Before starting any electrical work, turn off the power at the breaker. Use a voltage tester to verify that the power is off before touching any wires. Never work on live electrical circuits. Always work in a well-lit area. Keep the work area clean and free of clutter. If you are working on a ladder, make sure that the ladder is stable and that it is not placed near power lines. When connecting wires, use the proper wire connectors. Make sure that the connections are tight and secure. After completing the electrical work, turn the power back on and test the circuit to make sure that it is working properly. If you are unsure about any aspect of electrical work, consult a qualified electrician.